Alright, so yesterday we briefly went into series. Series is the what? Sum of the terms, or a specified number of terms in a sequence. Today we're going to dive into arithmetic series. So adding the terms specifically in an arithmetic sequence. Now, you need to know the arithmetic sequence formula. This comes into play when we do a series. That formula, a(n) equals a1 you're still going to be using that formula. We're going to start out by calculating the series with sigma, which is what you're familiar with. There is another way to do it. That's a separate formula. We are going to practice that as well. But we'll start out with sigma, which most people prefer and think is easier. On the bottom of sigma, you're always going to put n equals 1 because we're always going to start adding with the first term. Together, you put that number on top of sigma. And then to the right, you're going to put in the formula, the explicit formula. So let's look at our first example. We have the sequence 5, 8, 11, 14, 17, and I'm asking you to find the sum of the first 8 terms. So before we do anything with the sum or 8 or anything, we need to a1, which is 5, plus 3, my common difference is 3, times n minus 1, which is 5, plus 3n, is 3n. And then we fill that in to sigma. So sigma n equals 1 on the bottom. It's 3n. Two ways you can get sigma in your calculator. Math Any questions on how I did that?
We're going to have to be able to make that sign on this.
No. Alright, number 2. I have the sequence 10, 15, 20, 25. Find the sum of the first 13 terms. So, I'm going to start with my formula. a(n) equals a1 plus, what's my common difference? 5 times n minus 1. Distribute and simplify. And we're going to do sigma. We're going to find the sum. And the formula that goes with that is 5 plus 5n. And if you type it in correctly, you should get 520. Any questions? Do numbers 3 and 4. Right, so number 3, negative 360. Number 4, negative 1,326. Any other questions on those two? Yes.
Like, so the bottom of sigma is always going to be good if equals 1.
Now, if we're doing a question that says find the sum of the first several terms, yes. But you can type it in the calculator. You can type in n equals anything to something. So you might be thrown a question that's literally just a sigma question that doesn't have n equals 1 on the bottom. If that was the case, type it in like the question gives you. Like on the ACT. It doesn't have to be that, but for the types of questions that we're doing, yes, it will be. March, yeah. Now, sigma works. There's also a formula that works. I don't prefer the formula, but there are some types of questions which we will get to where you have to use this formula. Questions like, I give you the sum, but I ask you for n. That's not something you can do with sigma. So you have to have the formula. So we're going to practice that formula a little bit. And I don't know why this sentence is on there because we've already talked about it. But remember, the series is the sum of a sequence. Just a reminder. Sometimes, if you look down here at number 5, notice there are plus signs in between. Sometimes you will see that when they're talking about a series, they will use plus signs instead of commas to separate them. But we still say, okay, well, from 2 to 4 to 6, my common difference here is still 2. I'm adding 2 every time to get from one number to the next. So here is that formula. It's Sn equals n times a fraction, a1 plus an over 2. N is the number of terms that are being added. So if you're asked to find the sum of the first 30 terms, your n is 30. A1, that's easy. That's the first term. N and A1 are easy. You get those right away. AN, this is the last term being added. So if your question is find the sum of the first 30 terms, you actually have to know what the 30th number is, which goes back to this formula up here. So this formula is still into play. We don't lose it. You use it with sigma, you use it with this one. Okay. So we're going to do a few examples with this formula, and actually we'll skip these two. We'll go to the back. There's more room on the back. The boxes are bigger. So I probably was only going to do 4 examples anyway. So your formula, I will rewrite that here. I need n I need A1, and I need AN. I need those three things. N is 22. It's find the sum given that N is 22. We're finding the sum of the first 22 terms. Okay. Easy. A1 is what? 3. That's easy. Now I also have to find AN, and in this case, that's A22. So I have to know what the 22nd term is. So that's going to go back. My formula is the A1 plus D times N minus 1. So A1 is 3. What's my common difference? 5. And then 22 minus 1. So I'm actually going to plug in that 22 there to get my 22nd term. And you get 108. And so now I can do the sum of the first 22 terms is 22 times 3 plus 108 over 2. Be careful with your order of operations. When you type this in, you can't literally type 3 plus 108 divided by 2. Order of operations will divide those first and then add on the 3. The best way to avoid that is type it in like a fraction. So 22, type it in exactly as you see it. And get 1,221. If you would have done sigma for the same problem like we did those first 4, you would have got the same answer. On the test, if all it says is find the sum, you can pick whichever method you want. When we practice this, I'm going to make you do both. Half of them you have to do sigma, half of them with the formula. Any questions on where any of that came from? Number 8. So just a reminder, there's your formula. What's my N in number 8? 11. What's A1? 24. And then I have to find the 11th term. So 24 plus, what's my common difference? 7. 11 minus 1. 70, 94. And then the sum of the first 11 terms is N times 24 plus 94 over 2. You get 649. Try numbers 9 and 10. Number 9, you should get negative 301. And number 10, you should get 765. Are there any questions? here's where we're going to see questions that the formula, you have to have it. You can't use sigma to answer a question like number 11. I'm giving you A1. I'm giving you AN, which is just one of the terms. It's the last term that's being added, and I'm giving you the sum. What you don't have is N. So let's write the formula down. And fill in what we know. So I know that A1 is 12. So I'm going to fill that in there. I know AN is 92. That's going to go there. And I know SN is 468. So that's going to go where SN is. The only thing I don't have is N. So I can go ahead, and this fraction right here doesn't have any variables. I can just type that in. And I get 52. So this is N times 52, which is 52N. And then if you divide both sides by 52, you get 9. Try number 12. You should get 5 for your N. Alright, now the last type of question you will see, instead of finding N, you find A1 or AN. Mathematically, like the calculations, order of operations tend to confuse people a little bit more, but it's the same process. So I know SN is negative 366. I know N is so this time my everything is in the fraction. That's what makes it a little harder. You have a few options on what you can do. This fraction, you can actually move this 2 to be under the 12. Or you can go ahead and divide 12 by 2. So like, for example, if you want to rewrite it like this, 12 over 2 times negative 3 plus AN. Those are the same thing. Because, let's see, 5 times 6 divided by 2 is 5 times 3. Oh, that's a bad one because that's odd. Let me do this. 8 times 6 divided by 2 is 8 times 3, which is 24. But I could also do 8 divided by 2 times 6, which is 4 times 6, which is 24. It's really 5, or this is really 8 times 6 times 1/2. Multiplication you can move around.
Like the redistributive property.
Commutative, maybe. Sure. I don't remember the properties. I know that's bad. I don't teach them. So, same thing. So this is really negative 366 equals 6 times negative 3 plus AN. I would go ahead and just divide both sides by 6. I wouldn't distribute it out. I would just go ahead and divide both sides by 6. We get negative 61 equals negative 3 plus an. And then if you add 3, you get negative 58 equals an. From here, you could have distributed the 12, and if you do that, you only distribute to the numerator. You could have divided both sides by 12 first and then multiplied by 2 and then added 3. There's a few like different ways you could have gone about it. So just pick one, always do that step and you'll be fine. All right, we're going to stop there for today.